Hey everybody, welcome back to the record review. It's time. Let's talk about my top 10 songs of 2025. I wanted to start off the list with some honorable mentions for some songs that were really good, stood out strongly for me this year, and I had on repeat this year, but just barely didn't make the list. I'm going to go in alphabetical order, so no particular order based on quality here. After's Deep Diving is a really pretty song with these mesmerizing key parts that soar up and down scales, making a really interesting sound. Black Country New Roads for the Cold Country is my favorite song from the band since former singer Isaac Wood left the band because of the graceful vocals here by May. Danny Brown and Underscore is an insane duo I never expected to see in my lifetime, but it ended up making one of the most uniquely fun hip-hop songs I've ever heard. Deftones' Infinite Source is one of the most anthemic songs they've released in many years and has one of the band's best riffs ever. FKA Twigs' Striptease, the ending minute of that song is pure heaven with the drum and bass kind of sound and chopped up vocal parts. Florence and the Machine's You Can Have It All has some of the best vocal work I've ever heard in all of 2025. Freddie Gibbs' 1995 is an all-around well-produced and greatly rapped follow-up to his past song 1985 with another face-tearing guitar solo at the end. Hayley Williams' Parachute, I gotta say, if this list was based solely on choruses, this would be a serious contender for Song of the Year. Joey Valence and Brae's Live Right is the song that sees the duo venture deeper into pure introspection and some really mature topics. JPEGMAFIA's Valentine's Day Freestyle 25 is easily his best work of 2025 that strongly echoes the qualities that make Hazard Duty Pay such a great song. Kevin Abstract and Dominic Fike's Doggy is one of the cutest songs I've heard all year that is only complemented by Dominic Fike's feature. Magdalena Bay's Second Sleep is my favorite of the duo's new singles this year because of how great Mika's voice sounds on it. Maruja's Look Down on Us is an awesome blend of jazz and rock music. Jane Remover's Flash in the Pan is a super fun song that defines Jane Remover's sound very well. Offset and JID's Bodies is a super cool take on the metal band Drowning Pool song of the same name. Quadeca's Monday is a super enchanting song that shows the true artistry of Quadeca. And Turnstile's Birds is a super fun song that both define Turnstile's sound really well as being my personal song of the summer. And one more note before we get into the top 10 now, there was two songs that did make my top 10 official songs of the year, but I did cut them off of this list because I didn't want there to be any duplicate songs from standalone artists. The two songs I removed were Ethel Cain's F Me Eyes and Car Seat Headrest's Gethsemane. That's all for now, let's get to number 10. Starting off, Architects has been my favorite band of the past month, so I may have some recency bias putting a song from them here, but oh well. Blackhole is one of the cleanest produced and hardest songs the band has ever released, and definitely the heaviest song they've come out with in a very long time. While the song doesn't do anything insanely ambitious, the reason I love it so much is as simple as how pristine everything on it sounds. The riff is super powerful, the drums are super groovy and well mixed, the guitar solo is lifting, and Sam Carter shines vocally both with his screamy vocals as well as the catchy melodic chorus parts. Adding on to this, my absolute highlight of the song too, the breakdown has these extremely low vocal screams that make Sam Carter such a good singer, and it still impresses me every re-listen. Number 9, Magdalena Bay's version of Ashes to Ashes manages to take an already great song by David Bowie and transform it into something that sounds like it comes from 100 years in the future. Magdalena Bay, in the small recording space they had to perform this, made a sound that honored the original with similar musicality while expanding on what was already there so much. It improves on the original with even funkier bass work, more ethereal sound effects, and beautiful harmonies by Mika. Their cover doesn't just pay tribute to the original Bowie track with its grandness though. Magdalena Bay extend Ashes to Ashes to have a long outro with a repeated, "My mother said to get things done, you better not mess with Major Tom." Each time these words are spoken, the drum fills get more complex and anxiety-inducing in the best way possible, and a monumental guitar solo clearly inspired by the likes of Prince takes the song home with a Grammy-deserving performance that shot this song from just an amazing cover to one of the best things I've heard in all of 2025.
For attention, nigga, I'ma get it, nigga. I don't give a damn about redemption, nigga. I'm better lonely, start betting on me. I'ma walk and leave and breathe a testimony. That's some mama stalker, how they win and go and got it.
I already know I'm going to butcher this name, please roast me in the comments or correct me. 2025 was a victory lap for the rapper John Michel after he and producer Anthony James released their debut collaboration record, Ego Trip. Following this album, the song Miss Me was the first follow-up song from the duo and easily became one of my favorite rap songs of 2025. Starting off with one of the obvious highlights of the song, Anthony James' anthemic style of production is one of the biggest draws towards both the song and Ego Trip as a whole for me. The song opens with these horn parts that make the whole song sound super grand before devolving into simple drum parts with beautiful backing vocals in the chorus and even a gradually building guitar solo. Although this song is a duo effort in the full sense, John Michel has one of the cleanest flows I've ever heard on this song as he balances rapping fast while not being too fast and actually speaking on something meaningful. Lyrically, Miss Me speaks on coming from little and finding a way to survive and eventually thrive, and it's a really cool sentiment to see. The post-hardcore band La Dispute's song off their new album titled Environmental Catastrophe Film is this sonically progressive, movie-like song that touches on some super introspective themes in a way that is like poetry instead of sheer lyricism. Environmental Catastrophe Film is a 9-minute long narrative piece broken into 3 different parts that weaves together personal memory, history, and human agency. The song opens with a softer guitar riff and vocal style with lyrics about a boy picking up an animal next to a creek. The animal's panic in this moment from being picked up, as detailed in the lyrics, acts as a metaphor for the realization that the boy is unable to personally control all of the forces of life, like the animal not being able to control being forcibly picked up. As the song progresses, the vocals get far angstier and that small personal moment widens into something far bigger as seen in the lyric, to the river where the creek went, which shows how something as small as a creek can eventually turn into a river, and then into all of Lake Michigan, as said later in the song, similarly to how small actions in life can build up to much larger moments. This continues through the second part of the song, where the song thematically follows the creek upstream to the river and the town around the river. Lyrically, this second part focuses on religion and predestination, where the narrator recalls church teachings about human depravity, sin, and the idea that lives may already be mapped out by forces beyond just individual choices, or in other words, predestination. Moving into the third and final part of the song, this part becomes more reflective by using imagery of woodworking as a metaphor for how people are shaped over time by experience. After moving through childhood, greater community, and grief as a whole, the song lands on connection as a source of meaning to the lack of control people and animals have in their lives. This song is super powerful musically and emotionally, but the stunning highlight that earned it a top 10 spot of the year for me is the rich commentary on the pains of life and how to find meaning in it. While unfortunately we did not get a new Chappell Roan album in 2025, we did get gifted with 2 new songs from her in 2025, The Giver and The Subway. While The Giver was an above-average country pop fusion track with surprisingly fun twang, The Subway seems like the next Good Luck Babe or Casual for Chappell. The Subway is one of the best written and especially executed songs of her entire career, maybe even her single best song ever. The Subway is a simple breakup song on the surface about the lingering heartbreak from seeing signs of a past lover in all aspects of life following a breakup and feeling the extra punch of isolation because of it. Lyrics like, a few weeks later after the breakup, somebody wore your perfume, it almost killed me, I had to leave the room. The writing is very relatable on this song, and I think the simplicity of how she writes about this deeply personal experience makes it all the more emotionally powerful. However, what makes this song so spectacular is Chappell Roan's vocals here. While I would not be fully confident as placing this as my favorite Chappell Roan song, period, I can confidently say The Subway has her best vocal performance of her entire career. The final part of the song where she wallows the words, "She got away," repeatedly has brought me to tears, admittedly. I've been super iffy on 21 Pilots for a very long time, as they have consistently gone back and forth releasing super musically interesting stuff as well as super bland, cheesy slop music. But in 2025, I think they finally returned to form with not only a more mature sounding version of 2024's Clancy, but an album that is on par with the band's best album, 2018's Trench. The song that represents this musical maturity the best is the song City Walls off this new album. City Walls is the song that the singer Tyler Joseph stated was at the end of the Dima storyline, which was a decade-long narrative throughout the band's music. I'm not going to try and pretend I know what this storyline is. The narratives around this band and their discography is so incredibly long and in-depth. If anyone in the comments though wants to break it down for me, that would be highly appreciated. I would love to read that. However, the actual music of the song is some of the best I've ever heard from 21 Pilots. The drumming at the start of the song is super impressive. The production is really clean, which only helps amplify Tyler Joseph's vocals as he seamlessly bounces back and forth from these calmer moments, rapping parts, and super melodic choruses. The ending portion of the song is what made me fall deeply in love with this song though. I love the repeated vocals singing the words, "Entertain my faith, this is my last time that I try, address my soul." The way the duo went about this part of the song was so impressive, as they had Tyler Joseph doing the beautiful high notes as the lead vocal part, with these gut-wrenching screaming vocals layered in the background, clashing against the amplified instrumental parts. This song, and this portion of the song in specific, gives me so many chills every time I hear it.
They wouldn't believe it, but I can't unsee it. Lucky I ain't TMZ it. So be it, so be it.
This is culturally inappropriate.
So Be It. Possibly the most discussed song on all of Let God Sort 'Em Out. The song was the second single released by the newly reunited Clipse. It was only released to YouTube at the time of its release, as the sample was in the process of being cleared. The sample itself is this almost Middle Eastern sounding vocal hymn that immediately puts me in a state of anxiety hearing it over the chopped up piano successions and string arrangements. Here, Pusha T and Malice both rap about their readiness to go to war against any rapper who dares cross them. This builds up to the iconic final verse of the song with a break in the instrumentation as Pusha T calls out Travis Scott for blindsiding him through Pharrell Williams. According to Pusha T, through a genius annotation, Travis played the song Meltdown to Pharrell, who was working on Clipse's album simultaneously. However, Travis Scott skipped Drake's verse while playing this, which featured disses aimed at both Pharrell and Pusha T. Pusha's verse here clearly takes a shot at what Pusha T deems to be disloyalty coming from Travis. He details how Travis Scott will act best friends with Pusha T one day, even crying, opening up to him, then the next, when it becomes convenient for him, let someone diss Pusha T on his own song. He points out the lack of moral grounding Travis Scott has and how his behavior at the end of the day is extremely corny. He finishes off the verse and the entire song in diss with a line that blew my mind when I first heard it. Lucky I ain't TMZ it, so be it. Pusha T in this line alludes to possibly having some kind of incriminating information against Travis Scott, but saying Travis is lucky he didn't go public with the news, or to TMZ it. The line acts as himself having the final word against a man who had wronged him, as well as pushing Travis into a corner where it would be foolish for him to respond. And with it, the duo was able to craft my hip-hop song of the year.
You're gonna have to nail me down.
The band Geese, and especially the lead singer Cameron Winter, had such an incredible year in 2025, with a highly acclaimed new album, an official Billboard recommendation, and even a recent SNL parody I just saw while working on this video. The song off their new album that has been a staple for my listening journey in 2025 is the song Taxes. Taxes was the first single off the band's new album Getting Killed, and musically, it is one of the catchiest songs I have ever heard. Lyrically, the song packs so much more in it than the surface level optimism that the instruments will let you believe. Taxes is a song that details the feelings of guilt following a relationship falling apart, and taking that guilt to reject the world as a whole until the narrator is able to fix his own feelings of guilt. A lyrical passage that sums up this message really well is, "Doctor, heal yourself and I will break my own heart. I will break my own heart from now on." According to a Genius annotation, these lyrics are based on the ancient proverb dating back to the 6th century BCE, "Physician, heal thyself." It refers to a healer's inability to cure themselves, with the moral being that one should fix one's problems before trying to fix others. I think this song in its whole is a really beautiful interpretation of that biblical reading, and speaks on the larger scale about the importance of personal recovery after hardship instead of personal sacrifice for the sake of others around you.
You said you'd take me away on a starship, but baby, why you have to wait so long?
Halfway through 2025, the indie rock band Car Seat Headrest made their return to music after a 5-year hiatus with their album The Scholars. One song in particular from this album soared high and above all others for me, and made its way all the way up to being the number 2 spot on this list. The song Reality stunned me to an unexplainable degree. Musically, the track has a very unique progression, with guitarist of Car Seat Headrest, Ethan Ives, taking the first vocals of the song despite never having sung on a Car Seat Headrest album until this album. He sets the scene greatly with his somber vocals for a stage of grief from losing someone atop a simple drum beat and guitar notes here and there. This leads into singer Will Toledo, who takes a different perspective thematically and sings until an instrumental explosion of lead guitar parts layered with powerfully unwavering drum parts. Ethan Ives then trades back in vocals from Will Toledo, where he offers what is possibly my favorite moment on the entire album. He sings a heartbreaking, "You said you'd take me away on a starship, but baby, why'd you have to wait so long?" This moment in specific rocked me to my core the first time I heard it. Eventually, the song comes to an instrumental break with a more mellow sound thanks to these acoustic guitars taking the stage and Will Toledo's gut-wrenching lyricism taking reign. This builds back up once again to a final climax at the end of the song that overwhelms me with so much emotion listening to it. It makes the 11-minute runtime more than worth it. Finally, at number 1, Ethel Cain's Nettles is the best song of the entire year in my opinion. Let's get right into it. Nettles was the first new single from Ethel Cain's final album in 2025, Willoughby Tucker, I'll Always Love You. The song follows Fuck Me Eyes on the album that takes a much more honed in, introspective, and generally depressing nature than the preceding song. Nettles calls back on the overall concept of the album about a conflicting and eventually failing relationship between the characters Ethel Cain and the love interest in this story, Willoughby Tucker. In Nettles, Ethel reflects on a vivid dream she had about Willoughby going out to war, where he was critically injured, and it laments on the heartache she feels over this. Lyrically, the 8-minute journey of a song explores Ethel's emotions through these scenes and how she is both terrified about Willoughby's mortality, as well as her own anxiety of emotionally disappearing even when he returns home safely from war. In my eyes, I see this as a sort of metaphor for the two's relationship, and how even if suddenly all of the couple's problems get solved, Ethel might not be emotionally present enough to be able to keep the relationship intact. The way she goes about telling this story on Nettles, using vivid word painting on lines like, Lay me down where the trees bend low, put me down where the greenery stings, I can hear them singing. It's so endearing and it puts me deep in the world this song depicts. Listening to these lines, especially paired with the folky slide guitars and panning ambience, makes me able to see the fictional character Ethel Cain's perspective through her emotional struggles. One line in specific sums up the song and its lyrical power perfectly though. To love me is to suffer me. The phrase and title of the song are intertwined as nettles in real life are a beautiful looking plant that is painful to the touch. Similarly, Ethel Cain as a person depicted on the story behind Preacher's Daughter and Willoughby Tucker is beautiful to the sight or beautiful from afar, but once one touches her or comes close to her, they realize she is painful to the touch and she is not emotionally there enough for a perfect relationship like the one she fantasizes about with Willoughby. The way Ethel Cain equates these two things and makes it the focal lyric of the song puts in the perspective of how amazing of a writer Hayden is and makes Nettles the song I return to over and over again. Of course, while the highlight of the song is the songwriting, the music itself is phenomenal. The song has this Americana sound which helps create the setting for rural Nebraska where the album takes place. I also cannot talk about the song without mentioning how amazing Ethel Cain's vocals are. They are transcendental, to put it lightly. And well, there we have it. That is my top 10 songs of 2025. Subscribe for more videos like this and comment down below what is your number one song of 2025. Thanks for watching and I'll see you all next time.